All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Beyond the Bank Account. I am your host, Shara Prophet. And today we are going to be delving into very slightly the whole Nicki Minaj and Cardi B beef. I'm going to use this as a case study today to discuss what happens when unleashed trauma shows up as success sabotage in your life, okay? So before we jump into this, those of you who are on YouTube and Facebook, go ahead and give this a like, a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube if you have not subscribed yet. If you're on Facebook, go ahead and share this video. And for those of you on LinkedIn, hello, you can do the same thing. All right. So we're going to jump right into this. And I'm not here for gossip. This is not celebrity gossip. This is not me picking sides. I don't really care one way or the other, but I thought that this was a really good example of showing those of you who are, you know, already successful at the pinnacle of your success. If you are working towards that, a lot of you all are high earners. And those of you who are like on your way to being a high net worth individual, okay? Meaning you're grossing over, $3 to $5 million a year, okay? And those of you who are, working your way up the ladder to that particular space in your careers, um, is really important to understand the ways in which sabotage can happen. Because it can happen in many, many different ways, and it can happen at very odd times during your life, especially when you've reached a certain level of success. Um, or when you're on your way there, when you've already said, I want to have this level of success, I want to experience this amount of money, I want to experience, this level of success in my business or in my career. Things come up, okay? You ever heard that saying, new levels, new devils? Well, yeah, that's the truth. That absolutely happens. So you want to make sure that you are aware of that. And I am here to help you understand what that might look like. And through using case studies like this Nicki Minaj and Cardi B beef, and then also providing you with tools to help you get to where you want to go and to attain that level of success and to maintain that success. A lot of people get to that level, but they can't always maintain it. We have watched many people, especially in the public eye, public figures, we've watched many of them, get to certain heights and then they destroy it all, right? And that is because there is this unresolved trauma that lies beneath the surface. That is a subconscious program. There is a subconscious narrative running in the background that tells you've gained all of this success. You don't really deserve it. You don't really know what to do with this. What you're going to do. What are you going to do next? What's going to happen next? Now, this is not conscious, it's subconscious. Okay. That's what the subconscious means, underneath the surface, deep, deep beneath the surface. Okay. So, of course, these are not conscious thoughts. When I tell people things like this, they're like, no, I don't really feel like that. I'm like, yeah, you're not consciously aware of it. But what you're telling me, the way you have, behaved or your performance in the past is showing me XYZ. Okay. This is why it's really important to have someone to bounce your ideas off of and someone to talk to, like a therapist, a hypnotherapist like myself, or someone who is well trained in understanding human behavior and understanding psychology on a deep level, because you may be going through something that keeps you in a cycle, that keeps you in a loop, that's taking you out of the frequency of possibility. It takes you out of the frequency of success. It takes you out of the frequency of just being happy. Many of you are successful already. Many of you have, quote unquote, the bag already, right? But how do you feel when you go to sleep at night? Okay. What are those running narratives and thoughts and stories that play over and over and over again in your mind that you just can't shake, that may cause you to drink a little too much sometimes, that might cause you to rely on outside substances like smoking of any kind, vaping, smoking, marijuana, whatever it is, okay? Some of you, you just want to sleep all the time. Maybe you're overeating at certain times in your life. All right. So we have to start facing these things. And the reason why we have to start facing these issues and we can't really sweep them underneath the rug anymore is because time has sped up. All right. I mean, at first we were talking about it on the spiritual level, like, wow, time has really sped up. But no, scientists have proven that things are moving a lot faster. Okay, things are moving faster. The planets are spinning faster, and things are happening at a faster pace. So what that means is this: you don't really have years and years and years for your stuff to show up anymore. Your stuff will be showing up more so now than ever, especially in the year of the nine. 2025 is the year of nine. Nine is the ending of cycles. So what does that mean? If you've been experiencing a lot of hardship, then this is the year where you're going those particular core issues that cause that hardship. This is the year that those core issues are going to come up to the surface, and it's going to show you why you've been having this hardship, and you're going to have to make some difficult decisions. It's not for everybody, but for those of you that have been having, going through some struggles in your life, whether it's financially, whether it's with your family, whether it's in relationships, whether it's with your health, in your home, okay? Internal struggles, thoughts, ruminating thoughts that just keep going and going and going. So whatever it is, this is the year that you have a chance to face those things head on. And also, you have a chance to accumulate or attain tools, strategies to assist you with moving through that process, navigating through that process. And when you have the right tools and you're working with the right person, you can navigate through it a lot faster. It doesn't have to take you years and years and years to get through it, okay? If you've been struggling with weight, if you've been struggling with overeating, if you've been struggling with smoking and drinking and, getting into one failed relationship after the next, this is the year that the core root issue is going to come to the surface. And when it comes to the surface, you're going to need to move through that in a strategic, methodical way to help you move through it in the fastest, easiest way possible. All right. So let's get into this subject matter today. One more thing I do want to say is this. The other thing about this year and the energy of the time that we're living in right now is that people call it the age of Aquarius, right? What I call it is the age of air, the age of thought, the age of speaking. So this is the other reason why you need to be very aware of the things that you're dealing with underneath the surface, because the things that happen underneath the surface subconsciously also rule what come out of your mouth. So if you are constantly speaking that you're broke or you don't have enough or you're stuck or you're blocked in some way or this person is making it hard for you to move through XYZ, whatever it is that you're speaking that keeps you in a loop and keeps you in a cycle, or whatever it is that you're speaking that is negative into your life, you will see more of that. Okay. You're going to see more of that. So be mindful of your tongue. Maybe speak less, listen more. Maybe not talk as much, listen more. Okay. Because we are in the age of air where messages are coming through a lot faster and a lot quicker for some of us, right? A lot faster and a lot clearer. Excuse me. Okay. So maybe speak less, listen more. And when I'm saying listen, I'm not talking about listening to the outside world. I'm talking about listening to that inner voice, that higher intelligence within you. Spend a little bit more time being quiet. Turn the TV off, turn the phone off, turn off social media. If you just do it for an hour a day and just be quiet. You don't have to go into deep meditation, but just be quiet. Just stare out of the window, light a candle, stare into the flame. Okay. Just breathe. Just sit on the couch, sit on the edge of the bed and breathe. Okay. You don't have to focus on I'm trying to meditate and I'm trying not to have any thoughts. Well, let the thoughts come. The thoughts are there to tell you something. Okay. The thoughts are there to pull your awareness to something. So just allow it to happen. Okay. Allow it to happen. Allow it to come up to the surface. Because the more you speak, if you're always talking, you're constantly having conversations with people who may not even be in the same vibration that you're in. If you're trying to raise your vibration, you're trying to raise your frequency, you're trying to keep your frequency and your vibration raised, right? And you get into conversations with people that start bringing up, they complain a lot, or that everything is a problem, or they just want to discuss all the problems in the world, right? What happens is you get looped into that. You get lumped up into that. And if your mind is not a steel trap, if you have not done enough mental work to shut that down, to shut it out, you don't know how to cleanse your energy or call your energy back to you once you've completed the conversation, if you don't know how to cancel and clear the words that you've spoken, if you don't know how to do any of those things, you are wide open. You are a wide open vessel to just take any and everything in, and then you let it sit in your subconscious mind and you let it become a part of your belief system. And this is what holds a lot of people in that pattern, in that cycle, in that loop of whatever it is that's not going right for you. And it doesn't mean that once you become aware of it, it's going to change overnight. But what you will notice is that the inner shift taking place first. And then it'll become easier and easier for you to just sit still and just, even if you're not sitting still, just taking a walk. Go for a walk, go through a walk in nature. Okay. But go somewhere where you can be quiet and just listen. So when you do speak words out of your mouth, because we are in the age of Aquarius and in the age of Aquarius, right? And in the age of air, when you do speak out of your mouth, what you're speaking into the essence and the substance. Remember, I talked about the substance last week? How there's this substance that's just always around us, waiting for us to impregnate it with directions and instructions so that it can coagulate and solidify and materialize that which we're speaking. So it's easier for that to happen now because we're in the age of air and the substance is in the air. All right. So we're in the air, right? We're in the age of air. What we speak out of our mouths is air, right? So the air is capturing the energy of itself and it begins to coagulate and solidify it into a substantive thing that is in the 3D realm. So this is why you have to become aware of what you're saying. And you need to learn how to clear certain things out of the substance that you do not want to happen. Okay? Learn how to do that. I teach people how to do that all day, every day. If you don't want to learn from me, learn from somebody else, or sit and ask the question, how do I do that? And receive the information. What I don't care. I am doing these videos so that I can assist those who are ready to step into the next phase of their life. Okay. Now you can move through it slowly on your own, or you can do intensive work with me and get further faster. Okay. Totally up to you. Or you can do this stuff by yourself. All right. Okay. So Let's talk about this Nicki Minaj and Cardi B feud because it has been like lit up all over the place and it has gotten extremely messy, especially after they started talking about each other's children. And I'm not going to get all into that because if you want to know more about that, you can just go to the blogs online, child, look it up, Google it or whatever, and you get all the juiciness from it. But what really popped out to me was, and I've known this for a while, but this is like my first time really speaking out about it. And what's interesting is that Cardi B left, she said something similar to Nicki Minaj, right? About her wounding, her childhood wounding, especially as it relates to the mother, okay? And what happened to her when she was growing up. Apparently, she, suffered, she had an abusive relationship with her father. Her mother knew about it and didn't step up, okay? She didn't stop it from happening. And she didn't get her any help afterwards. So this woman, this child grew up into a woman holding on to this trauma, and it has affected her life profoundly, throughout her entire career. Okay. So it's apparent that the reason why she lashes out at women who are very successful, okay? Women who don't bow down to her or women who do not feed into her ego, right? Is partly because of the unresolved trauma that she experienced when she was a kid, when she was a little girl, all right? She had to protect her mother from her father because there was abuse in the house, right? So she really didn't have a mother figure there to protect her. She had to protect her mother. That's a lot of resentment, a lot of anger towards the feminine energy in your life. The first relationship that you have with a woman, whether you're a son or a daughter, is with the mother. Okay. So if those relationships are not healthy, then it can impact you throughout your entire life. All right. And it can impact you in different ways. But today I'm talking about a highly successful woman who's incredibly wealthy. All right. So she overcame whatever obstacles might have been in her path and she was able to meet her goals and reach a certain pinnacle of success. However, because she has not dealt with those traumas, she's starting to sabotage her success. She's starting to sabotage her wealth. Okay, this is the crash and burn session that she's in, the crash and burn phase. Okay, everything is alchemy. I'm not going to get too deep into alchemy because I ain't trying to, I've already gotten deep into the whole air magic thing. I'm not going to get deep into alchemy. I have classes where I teach about that. You can go bemagicschool.org if you want to learn more. All right. So she's in the crash and burn phase of her life right now, where everything she's setting things on fire, which makes sense. She's a Sagittarius, right? So, and I have a Sag rising, so I get it. I totally understand the rage. I totally understand the fieriness, all right? However, because I don't know if she's using substances or not, so I am not going to claim that because I don't know that to be true. But the behavior patterns would speak to that, okay? The behaviors that she's displaying online would speak to that. It feels that way, all right? Seems like it anyway, okay? However, we can tell that there's something a little bit off there with her, right? So what I'm seeing is this little girl who's enraged, this little girl who is angry, this little girl who feels like nobody has her back, this little girl who feels like she's not supported, this little girl who feels like, y'all are trying to come and take what's mine, 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 mine. That's my Barbie doll. No one can take it. Okay. And here come these other girls trying to take what's mine, trying to take my throne. All right. So there's a feeling of not being safe there. There's a feeling of powerlessness going on. All right. And another way we can tell that this has a lot to do with childhood trauma is that she has developed these characters over the years, right? So she's developed these characters, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, my professional opinion. She's developed these characters to protect her. So, the Barbie character, the Roman character, the Chun-Li character, right? All of these are different characteristics and different personas that she's created as a way to protect herself in some way, shape, or form. Okay. For whatever reason that she created it. I don't know what each character represents for her because I have not sat down with her. I have not had any sessions with her. So I can't tell you that. But I'm just speaking as someone who understands personality disorders. I understand things of that nature. So, and these alter egos have helped her survive. I do know that when people create alter egos, they create them because it's a way to protect them. It's a way to help them push through hard times and to push the version of themselves that experienced the trauma and the hurt way in the back. And they bring forth these personas to help them move through whatever triggers they may be experiencing. Because even when she's like online and you hear her talking, she goes in and out of these different voices. Okay. She uses these different voices. So I'm like, there's a lot to unpack here. All right. Now I'm not trying to get too deep into the personality issues here, but I'm wanting to share all of this kind of background stuff just to help you understand how when we see people in the public eye, a lot of public figures and celebrities who end up sabotaging their success or losing their money or going to jail, okay? It is because of these unresolved issues that they have. Now, it may not impact you that way, but it could if you do not get a handle on it. Okay. Because what happens is when you rise into you rise up in your success, right? You rise up in your field, you get notoriety, you have a certain title, you have certain responsibilities, and you're making more money, right? So what happens is that the ego looks gets experiences that as more power. And if you do not know how to deal with more power than you have ever had in your entire life, and you struggle with feeling powerless because as a child, someone took your power away from you, someone made you feel unsafe, then you can become a power monster, okay, a control freak. That's what happens. That's why people want to have control because when they were younger, someone stripped them of their power. Someone made them feel out of control and it wreaked havoc on them. And if you've never dealt with that, if you've never unpacked it, if you've never healed it, then it can cause you to sabotage your relationships, even when you don't want to. It can cause you to sabotage your job. It can cause you to sabotage your wealth, your success, your notoriety, and your reputation. And we see it happening all the time. Okay. A lot of the times when someone feels triggered, like a Nicki Minaj, right? They feel triggered, um, even when no one is directly offending them. No one is directly talking to them or trying to hurt them in any way, shape, or form. What happens is they feel like they need to defend themselves because they feel triggered, like I'm about to lose my position. I'm about to lose my power. No one's listening to me. Nobody's going to listen to me anymore. They're listening to her, okay, instead of me. She won the Grammy. I did, and I've been at this for 20, 30 years, and I've never won a Grammy, okay? Or a Grammy for whatever, best album or whatever, child, whatever it is got her on the rocks, okay? So this is what makes it really hard to stop fighting, okay? To always feel like you have to prove yourself over and over and over again. Now, for some people, it makes them work 10 times harder, okay? Which can be really taxing on the body and taxing on your emotions and your mind. Not getting enough sleep. If you're not getting enough rest, if you're not eating properly, and you're constantly working yourself over, working yourself too much, then of course you're going to need to rely on outside substances, whether it's coffee, whether it's a vitamin or a supplement or even a substance, right? That can easily turn into an addiction because there's a feeling of not being enough. So I need to hurry, I need to work harder and grind harder than everybody else because I don't want anybody to take my position. Okay. And there's a time and a place for that. In certain industries, yes, you have to be that competitive. I completely understand that. However, if you have not dealt with unresolved trauma, it can be very unhealthy and it can end up sabotaging your success. Okay. So I just want to kind of recap before we close out. I want to recap some of the ways that you can notice when you're sabotaging yourself. Okay. And success, not just in business, not just in money, but success in relationships, success in health. All right. And in what you're eating and how you're treating your body, success in mental clarity. All right. That's a form of success. To have mental clarity, to be at peace is that's I think that's the highest level of success that you can reach. To have mental clarity and peace, to be at peace with yourself as you are, right where you are, with whatever is going on in your life, no matter what, you feel a sense of peace, and no one can shake that and rock you. That's the highest level of success, in my opinion. Okay. Okay. So some ways that unhealed trauma, I'm not going to say your, because everybody's not dealing with that. Okay. But the best way for you to tap in and acknowledge, okay, there's some unresolved traumas here that might be trying to sabotage what I have built or where I am in life, okay, is you attack first because you fear being humiliated, all right? You project your wounds onto other people, accusing them of the very things that you are secretly afraid of, all right? You crave control because losing it reminds you of childhood chaos or reminds you of someone taking away your power. You mistake competition for safety. If you're the best of everything, then nobody can hurt you. Nobody can take your spot. Okay. You're safe. I'm safe because I'm the only one here. I'm way up here and everybody else is somewhere underneath me. You isolate yourself because trust feels like a setup. This is a big one. This is a big one. Okay. If you are trying to form relationships with people, or you're trying to form a relationship personally, whether it's in business or in your personal life, and then all of a sudden you get triggered because you're getting closer to these people, they're getting to know you, you're getting to know them, and then your trigger happens, right? And you go into fight, flight, and then you want to fly. You want to go into flight where you just isolate yourself and you're like, I don't need to be around nobody. I don't want nobody around me. I don't trust these people and this and this and that. You don't trust people because you're not tapped into your intuition. Because when you're tapped into your intuition, you don't have to isolate. There is a time for isolation. There is a time for isolation. But if you find that you do this more frequently, or you do it from a space of fear instead of a space of trust, saying, oh, it's time for me to pull back a little bit just for my own peace of mind, okay? Or it's time for me to pull back a little bit because I am triggered and I need to figure out where this is coming from and why I'm being triggered. I need to be alone and sit with myself and sit with my higher self, my spirit, whatever you want to call it, and do the inner work. Okay, that's a healthy way of isolating. But when you isolate because you feel like I'm starting to trust these people, I'm starting to like them, and I want to work with them, or I want to be in a relationship with them, I want to form a friendship, or I want to date them, or whatever it is, okay? And then all of a sudden you shut down and you go into isolation because of the fear of you being betrayed. the fear of you being stabbed in the back, the fear of something that happened in the past happening now. It can absolutely take you out of the realm and the frequency of success, because how do you know that person is not going to help you get to the next level, or help be the muse for your next great idea? Okay. That is a way that you sabotage potential opportunities. Okay. So the reason why success triggers these wounds is because it's a new level. Remember, I said before, new levels, new devils, right? People think money and fame and success will take away the pain. A lot of people do. A lot of people say, oh man, as soon as I hit this level, everything's going to be all right. This is not going to be a fear of mine anymore. I won't be as worried anymore. Everything, I just need for this to work and everything else to be fine. Okay. But it does not. It does not take away any kind of pain. It does not heal you. Fame, success, money does not heal you. It doesn't. If anything, it turns up the volume. It exposes those unresolved traumas. That's what happens for real. Okay. Success exposes every part of you that feels unsafe and unworthy. It does. So when the spotlight hits your wounds, you react. Okay. We see it happening all the time. That's why you see powerful people implode when they get to the peak. When they get up to the very, very top, all of a sudden something happens and they get hit with all of this scandal and all of these things take place. Or somebody is, blowing the whistle on them. Okay. We see it happen all the time. We see it happen in politics. We see it happen in the entertainment industry. We see it happening in the corporate arena. Okay. We see it happening, in the influencer spaces, in the spiritual spaces, in the religious spaces. It happens all over the place. In the medicine, in the medical field, it happens everywhere. Okay. And the reason why this happens is because something, the soul needs to shake you up in order for you to pay attention and become fully aware of the thing that needs to be adjusted and cleared within your nervous system, within your mind, in your heart, in your spirit. You got to clean up some stuff. So the success is there. For some people, they have to hit those levels of success in order for that information to become available to them, because it's all it is information. When you begin to look at things as just information, it takes the heaviness off of it. You're like, okay, I need to go look at this. I need to figure out where this came from. Okay. Because the higher you rise, the louder your unhealed parts scream out for attention. Why is that? It is because we are more comfortable in the unknown. We're more comfortable in the known. When you start rising into these higher levels of success, right? You're stepping into the unknown. I don't know what's going to happen when I hit this level. Oh my God, I'm at this level now. What's about to happen? What's about to happen? That fear rises up, and in order to protect you, those old subconscious programs and patterns come to surface, and the behavior starts to shift, and it starts to do things to take you out of the realm of success, to protect you. The mind is very powerful, and I encourage everyone to learn about the power of your mind, to learn about energy, understand it. It is real. It is real. Okay. It's not woo woo. It's not fairy, airy fairy. It is real. And it can make or break you if you do not understand it. Okay. So we don't need to be in the music industry to see all of this stuff play out, okay? Like I said, it happens in every industry. It happens to everyone at some, no matter what level you're on, okay? It happens to everybody. I don't care if you work at McDonald's and you're getting a promotion, to become the manager in your store. There's a fear that comes up. There's something that happens inside of you that's like, I don't know if I can do this job. And if you don't counter that, if you don't do something about that, something will happen that will knock you out of that position, or it will make it very, very difficult for you to move forward. Okay? So you have to just be aware of yourself. And everything doesn't call for you to have a counselor or a therapist on hand. I think everybody should. That's just my personal opinion. But it doesn't every situation doesn't mean, oh my goodness, I have to go. I'm having trouble here. I need to go, talk to somebody. Sometimes it's just being aware and being able to ask yourself the right questions. So here's a list of questions that I want you to write down. Okay. You can always go back and watch this video and pause it and write it down, but I'm just going to read them really quickly because we need to wrap up. So I want you to ask yourself these questions. If you ever find that you're feeling insecure about moving forward or insecure about your success in any way, shape, or form, do I get defensive when someone else shines? Do I lash out when I feel unseen or disrespected? Do I pull away from people who genuinely want to help me? Do I create chaos just when things start to go right? That's a big one. Okay. That's a big one. Remember, if you've said yes to any of these things, there's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. Okay. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. This is just an indicator that you have some subconscious patterns that are running in the background. Okay. You weren't that aware of them until now. And all that means is that you've asked the right questions and now that information is coming to the surface and there are things that you can do to heal that. So let's talk about that. Okay. The only way to stop sabotaging your blessings is to heal the part of you that doesn't feel safe with success. I'm going to say that one more time. The only way to stop sabotaging your blessings is to heal the part of you that does not feel safe with success. Again, success not just in business, not just in the industry that you work in. I'm talking about successful relationships, familial and friendships, and romantic partnerships as well, okay? If you've been on a really great fitness journey and you've dropped 20 pounds and then all of a sudden you see you slowly starting to gain the weight back, okay? What is it that wants you to stay the same? How can you begin to, oh, little gnat, what are you doing here? How can you begin to heal that pattern, okay, or shift the pattern? So one, you can name the pattern or the wound without any shame. Just name it. Just call it out by its name, okay? You can either empower or disempower an energy or an entity. And when I say entity, I'm not talking about ghosts and demons and all of that stuff. Entities are thought forms that form into thought forms that materialize into energy, okay, that has grown a persona, a personality. All right. So name it. When we name it, right, we begin to disempower it or empower it, whatever it is you're trying to do. Okay. Learn to pause before reacting. Now, this is an area that I have had to work on throughout my life. Okay. I I do this work because I've had to do it for myself and I have had to pay people to help me do the work. Okay. That is why I do what I do. because it has helped me and it continues to help me. I am not a finished product. I am definitely still on my journey, as we all are. You're not gonna never not be on the journey because it don't end until you croak. Okay. And even when you croak, you're gonna go off to a different state of being, and you're gonna have to go through some challenges in that state as well. All right. May not be like the one that you're experiencing in the earthly realm, but it's gonna be there. The other thing that you can do is let people in without expecting betrayal. The moment you expect to be betrayed, I guarantee you it's going to happen. I guarantee it's going to happen. One thing I like to say is everybody that I encounter, every person that crosses my path is an angel. Whether you believe in angels or not, that's up to you, child. Switch it up however you want to, okay? Every person who is in my path, who crosses my path, every person who's I interact with, right? They are an angel sent to assist me for my highest and best good. So immediately, whether they end up betraying me or not, I know that everything that has happened for my highest and best good. Okay. So stop expecting to be betrayed, and you will be amazed at how things shift. Okay. And I'm going to say this specifically for anyone out there who has ever experienced any type of abuse. Okay. A lot of your distrust and your expectation to be hurt again and betrayed stems from that. So you may need to talk to somebody about that. Okay. Choose peace over performance. You don't have to act like everything is okay. Really genuinely learn how to tap into peace within, so that no matter what it is you experience or whatever you're going through, that underneath it, the underlying blueprint is peace and happiness. Trust me, you can experience peace and happiness even in the midst of your darkest hour. Trust me, you can. Okay. I'm saying trust me, you can, because I'm saying trust me, you can. Okay. And I know there's a thing out there when people say trust me, don't trust them. Again, that is you expecting some form of betrayal. Okay. But when I'm saying this, you can experience peace and happiness even in the midst of discomfort, chaos, and your darkest hour. You can. It starts from within. You cannot do this expecting for the outside world to bring you peace and happiness. That has to be something that you have already installed within your bloodline, within your DNA, okay? Within your mind, within your heart space. And finally, redefine strength as softness that's rooted in self-trust. What does that mean? Okay. So, strength, softness, and self-trust. You have to trust yourself. A lot of people say love yourself. I think people generally love themselves already. So I don't really preach self-love like that. I really don't. I talk about self-trust because I think that that is the thing that can pull a lot of us out of the frequency that we want to be in, right? It pulls you out of the frequency of possibility. It pulls you out of the frequency of joy. It pulls you out of the frequency of having the experience that you want to have because you're not trusting yourself. You're not trusting the inner guidance. You're not trusting the intuitive nudges that you hear or feel or dream about or get a sense of or even see. Some of you can you get visions, some of you, all right? But when you lack self-trust, meaning you're always doubting yourself, you're second guessing yourself, you're not sure of yourself, right? That's also a confidence issue, okay? Which can also be, go back to some earlier childhood things or things that happened earlier in your development. Even as a young adult, for some of you. For some of you, maybe your childhood was great, but things started happening in your teenage, early adult years that kind of caused some level of unresolved trauma for you. But when you are rooted in self-trust, right? Meaning You've learned how to trust your intuition. You've learned how to trust that inner guidance. You've learned how to hear that voice and know what that voice means, right? You know the difference between the higher voice and the lower ego voice, right? When you need your ego, don't be out here trying to kill your ego. Please don't do that. That's a whole nother topic, but you need your ego. And there's ways that you can teach the ego to work for you and not let it drive the bus. That's the difference. You're not trying to kill the ego. Okay. Um, but once you start to learn the what it feels like in your body, what it sounds like to you, that intuitive nudge, and you learn to trust it and you just go with your first mind, go with the first mind. When you learn how to go with that and you can't let nobody, I don't care who it is, nobody can talk you off of it, nobody can pull you off the square, that's where you find your strength. That's when you're able to be a lot softer in your approach to things, to everything. Because and being soft doesn't mean you're weak, okay, or you're passive. Being soft means I trust myself in this now moment that I have what it takes to alchemize and transmute the energy of what's happening around me right now. And my energy is so powerful because I trust myself. I'm being calm and I'm being soft, which makes me the strongest person in the room right now, unless there's somebody else in here who know how to do that too, right? It makes me the strongest person in the room right now, which means my energy is more tapped and tuned in, so I can shift the reality right now. I can shift the situation right now. This is real mind power, okay? How do you get there? How do you get to all of the things that I have named on this list? You have to become self-aware. You have to understand what it is that you are dealing with, what it is that what is triggering you. You have to become highly aware of that. Okay. All right, y'all. I hope that this has been helpful for you. I'm going to jump off now. I hope you have a great day. All of the ways that you can reach out to me and connect with me are in the links in the description box, whether it's below or, in the caption in the video. I would encourage you all to definitely get on the email list and take the Sovereign Wealth Assessment. It is all completely free, so that you can get a better idea of where you are in your wealth journey. All right. And the other thing that assessment does is it will show you what your next steps are. Okay. It will recommend tools that you can use immediately to help you shift into a higher phase or a higher level of where you are right now in your journey. All right. So I thank you all so very much for your time and your attention today. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Share it with other people who you think may find this to be helpful. And please leave a comment. I would love to get your feedback and answer any questions that you have. All right. I'll see you all next week. Bye. Same time, same place.